why or?
Like yeah, why now? Why now have you suddenly been able to just make everything? Like why before? You were pretty much just as strong before. Like what's changed? So I saw you do deadlifts a couple of days ago on your Instagram. You did 201 for 4. Why do more deadlifts a few days later?
Deadlifts are a bit of a weakness for me. So if I can do them more often, it's going to build that deficiency and it's going to allow me to get better at them faster. Generally, you only need a 2 to 3 day window between that sort of stuff to allow your body to fully recover. I felt fully recovered from it, so I thought I'd hit them again. Again, just working out those weaknesses. I don't know if you know this side, but she gets real fucking heavy.
So what are we aiming for?
I'd like 4 at 100.
4 at 100?
So I got heaps of time, so I'm going to slowly just step it up each time and see what we end at. But definitely the goal. Definitely the goal. I think that's a pretty good benchmark. Easy. Easy. Come on, baby, 2 more. Shaky. You know what? I'm gonna pay both of them. I'm gonna pay all of them. They're all power. Woo!
When we did the power snatch today, was that a 4RM PB?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't ever remember doing that many with 100, so I'm pretty confident that was a little PB, so it's awesome.
So during the week, I saw one of your workouts, we didn't make it all the way through.
Yep.
So you could throw the term around, quit, gave up, etc.
Yep.
2 questions. 1, what was going through your mind during that workout that led you to give up before the end? And then second question is, how do you recover coming back into the next day knowing you performed poorly the day before? What are you doing?
No, I'm fast.
You can't just quit.
So at the time going through my head, like I can make like a million excuses for it, but at the end of the day, I gave up in my head. I wasn't applying the level of intensity that I wanted to, and then I tried to sort of just in my head go, just get it done, finish it, but I couldn't. I had a slight moment of weakness, so I just left it there and left it. I sort of beat myself up for about an hour about it, but then just compartmentalized it, put it off to the side. The journey and the progress with this is it's accumulation of 1%. So it's just 1% that I missed out on, and that's fine. I can live with that as long as when I went home, I made up for it. So I made sure I had a really good dinner, had a great sleep. I did my recovery work, my stretching, my hot cold therapy. I did everything. So I might have missed one aspect of training, but then I just worked harder when I got home to make up for that. And then coming in the next day, it's just a new day. Okay, there's no point dwelling on the past, you just can't change it. So I just refocus and just really focus on hitting the next day right in that zone.
Decisions to glow, ridiculous flow, potential to glow. You know, I just do that. Consolidate my regions, line it up, put them together. Anyone that ever let me down, forget them forever. My memory's bad, remember me though? My memory's gone. My memory, it limits me home. No tree huggers, cause all the lumber's gone. Niggas knocking on wood, pass through the hood when it's good and they chopping up wood. Breaking up stems, tilting my brim. With a limp like a pimp, though I'm shaped like a wimp. They put no fear in him, it's just me and the end of my timeline. Flow like a fine wine, smelling like fine pine. Yeah, is this the end or just the beginning? Am I losing or winning? Is this reality or am I pretending? I'm Cain and Abel, I murdered my brother cause I'm able. Murdered myself because my alter ego's so unstable. You get that? If you didn't, just sit back, then crack this six-pack. I should be in the gym doing sit-ups, trying to get this six-pack. But forget that, where the click at? Where the bras and the cash and the whips at? With a bit back, with a bop, with a bit back. I just did that. Trying to focus on my get back, my get up, my re-up, my rematch. A patch of seeds and Apache debris passing through Indian Springs in Las Vegas, my G. Bumping Nirvana in Nevada. My favorite word is medulla oblongata. Just doing what I gotta. Is this the end or just the beginning? Am I losing or winning? Is this reality or am I pretending? That was poetry. Yeah, I make decisions to glow. Ridiculous flow, potential to glow. You know, I just do that. Consolidate my regions, line it up, put them together. Anyone that ever let me down, forget them forever. My memory's bad, remember me though? My memory's gone. My memory, it limits me home.
I've been doing CrossFit now for almost 8 years. About probably 5 years ago, I started getting like a little bit more serious with the goal of trying to make regionals. And for about 3 or 4 years, I was sort of a bubble athlete. Looking back on that journey now, like I was investing a lot of time into another athlete, trying to help them sort of fulfill their journey, and probably not putting everything into like sort of my trajectory, which was my choice at the time. So it is what it is when it comes to that. But then when that stopped and then sort of refocusing on myself, I probably went for about 6 months where I just bought the gym that I now own. I'd had a partner up until that point, so I'd taken it over from him, bought him out, and so I'd taken that on by myself, as well as I had some other personal issues going on. And I found through that time I had like a little bit of a dip, sort of emotionally. So during that time, I got deeper and deeper down into that sort of like a well of just, I don't even know what the right word is. There's certain words for it that I don't really like using. I think it's just got I don't know, it's hard to relate to that sometimes, and I think maybe what I was going through wasn't as bad as someone else's. So, but anyway, over that time, I didn't know how to really deal with what I was going through emotionally and mentally. I just started getting real down and out, and I was just sort of the pressure and stress of running the business and dealing with so many people and trying to do it all by myself and then worrying about others. It just sort of like really started affecting me, and I started to build up a real insecurity that people were always sort of talking about me or talking about me behind my back and things like that. And it's probably all in my head, and it probably is and was, but I allowed that to affect me in a way that pushed me into a trajectory of someone who, like, I looking back now didn't want to be. And at the time I wasn't properly equipped to deal with that. So I started using the wrong things to help me deal with that. And that happened for about 3 or 4 months over last Christmas. Was the tipping point. I got to a certain stage where an incident happened, and that sort of gave me a bit of a wake-up call. And then I have 2 best friends in this world, and one of them is Tyler behind the camera, and the other one is Zarin Ferretti, however you say his weird name. And I remember one day when it really hit me was I was like messaging Z, and he just messaged me back, and he's like, I just don't want to be your friend anymore. And that really like fucking hit me. I'm like, he's someone who lived with me, we'd been through a lot together, and like for him to not want to be my friend. And I remember trying to call him and messaging him like, the fuck's going on? And he's like, well, you're just always like miserable. And he's like, you're not going to help yourself. He's like, and I don't want to be around someone who's just like that all the time. He's like, I love you, bro, but he's like, I don't need that in my life. And it really hit me hard. And I messaged his girlfriend, and I rang her, and I was just like, I freaked out. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't have much left going for me at that time. And it sort of gave me a big wake up call. And it was one of the things that reset my trajectory and my path. And then I started reaching out to people that I thought could help me, and they did. And one of the things I did on that journey, and about probably January last year, is I sort of created a shell or a bubble, and I cut everyone out of that, everyone in my life. And then each week I'd sort of reintroduce one person into my life, and I'd sort of invest a bit of time into them and just see if they were conducive to the person that I wanted to be. If they were, I kept them in. If they weren't, I just sort of had a small separation. And it doesn't mean that they weren't a really good person, they weren't helpful, but they weren't going to help me to get to where I needed to be emotionally. And some people might say that sounds a bit selfish, but I think it's really important to prioritize yourself first, because you can't really make anyone else happy or feel good about themselves if you're miserable yourself, because you're always going to plateau that happiness. If your happiness is down here, you can't make someone truly happy. If your happiness is up here, well, then you can elevate their happiness to a whole nother level. So I spent sort of 2 months doing that, and then just sort of rebuilding that network of like the 5 closest people to you are an average of who you were. So I really focused in on that, and as part of that, the people I just happened to surround myself with were just really ambitious, successful people. So I wanted to emulate that and have more for my life. And I feel like with that, I'd be able to impact and inspire more people on the journey and help more people. Because for those 3 months where I wasn't who I wanted to be, and I was using certain things as a crutch to try and make myself feel better, like reflecting on that now, like I didn't help anyone. Like, if someone came to me with a problem, like how was I in a position to give them help and love and support if I didn't have that for myself? So over that journey, I had that, and I had that realization. And as part of that, one of the things I'd always said was to make regionals. And at about the same time, they'd actually canned regionals. So it was a little bit of a shaky situation, but they brought in the sanctional format, which I think is probably the best thing to ever happen to professionalizing the sport. And I qualified for Down Under, which was what the Australian regional became. And I got to have probably one of the best experiences of my life. And I met a lot of awesome people, and I felt that I had a moment, and I was talking to Tyler about this not too long ago, that after the last event, my flight was not that long after, so I had to have a shower in the stadium, and I was sitting in the change rooms, the locker rooms, getting changed, having a shower, and I took a moment where I just sat there and I just listened to like the roar of the crowd and all the noise that was going on, and I had that moment where I was like, you know, all that shit that I'd gone through and I'd managed to come through had like prepared me. That was the reward for that moment, that feeling, that environment. So it's like every bad thing that happens to you, it's just leading you on a trajectory of something better to come out of the other end. So when you have those dips, like, it's worth it in the end, because something great will come out of that. It might not be instantaneous, but it will eventually come out at the other end better, and it'll be worth it, and you'll be a better person for it, for sure.